Avoir.
Okay, we're rolling. Welcome to another episode of Fit Pet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I'm the host of the show. And today I'm joined by my spouse,
Hello.
Lori Lodato. And if you've never tuned into the podcast before, thank you so much for listening. I have been running this show since 2019, and this is episode number 70. So I guess it's a milestone episode.
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah, I said so. It's 70. It's a milestone. I should be at like 170.
I know. Sometimes I'll have people, hey, I haven't had a podcast in a while. Like, I know. Well, you know, the world was falling apart around January, but we pulled it back together and here we are. Look at us go.
Yeah, we had a rough winter.
It was rough. People kept dying.
A lot of personal things happening in our family.
Yep.
So,
But now we're all on the up and up.
Yeah, I would say that.
Just took some Windex and cleaned it right up.
Yeah, you know, like when you go through something, it sometimes takes a little time to feel normal again.
Mm-hmm. So now we heal ourselves with dead ducks, which is going to be the topic of today's conversation.
Yes. So if you
Podcast.
if this is the first time you're tuning into the show, Laurie and I do episodes together, which turn out to be quite popular. My original purpose for doing this project was to connect local area dog handling professionals and talk about our lives, dogs, and careers. And that original mission has taken a little bit of a backseat to just what we're doing with the show. And I think for right now, that's fine because I'm cool to discuss things with Laurie. I love listening to her advice and her sarcasm.
On the podcast, she does.
Okay, I laugh my butt off. I ask people on a regular basis, like, is it this normal to laugh this much at your spouse?
She said at. Okay.
You're funny.
And there. Is it normal to laugh at your spouse like this? Not with. Okay.
Well, then you make jokes and I laugh. That's the point of jokes, right?
Oh, Lord.
Anyway. So we're going to just kind of look towards the future, and if we get questions, we will try to give you answers. And lately we've been getting a lot of questions about what the hey I am doing with Raven.
What the hell is she doing with Raven?
Yeah. So I should say,
pew pew,
got a black female field lab back in November 2022. And she came to us earlier than I thought a dog would come to us. Granted, I reached out to the breeder just to say, hey, when you're having another litter, like, let me know. I just lost a puppy. And it turned out that he was like, hey, got one coming. And I was like, okay, this is happening sooner than I expected. But I'm really glad that we decided to get her.
I think she does everything you wanted to do. We had some bumps in the road with her, bless her heart.
Yeah. Do you want to describe the bumps?
It took about 7 months to bathroom train her. I mean, so that was a really healing experience after a rough winter.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Becky, she likes to go to the bathroom in the crate. So that took a while, but now it's just one more thing I can say to customers that we have suffered through.
Mm-hmm.
And it took, I think the staying quiet in the crate took just as long as the bathroom training. But I'm so glad that phase is over. Yes.
And when we say bathroom accidents, they were like pee accidents. They weren't poop accidents.
Yeah. And that's a lot to wash a dog, but I'm just going to, again, be grateful that I have a dog tub in my house. Because if I didn't, and I had to clean her up as much as I did in a regular bathroom, and then hose down the entire bathroom, and then bleach the bathroom because I have OCD problems, that would have been a lot. So I'm very thankful for a tub and dog shampoo and that she kind of evened out. And as long as that chick gets a day full of energy, she's good for a nap.
Yeah, she is, and she's not noisy. And after going to training with other dogs and seeing what other dogs are like, She's not noisy at all.
Except for when it's toss and fetch and she's in the car and she's getting jazzed because her father.
That's a problem that I think I need to
address.
Make sure that I'm not feeding into.
Because they're waste. Because they're wasting energy when they're barking that much. And then her and Ruben get into this like amazing opera between the two of them. And then,
yeah, toss and fetch is a real high drive environment. We'll talk about that the next time we do an episode. But yeah, so we got Raven in November. She was tough to bathroom train because she got comfortable peeing inside the crate. And I'm not going to say that nothing was our fault, because I think you can always blame yourself for things that go wrong in dog training. But
I don't know. I don't think it was our fault.
I don't think it was either. She just, she just didn't have a problem going to the bathroom in there. So
was it only big enough so she could stand up and turn around? Yes, Laurie, it was. It was big enough for her to stand up, turn around, and then tapping it like it was like a little rain show. A little jazz show in the rain, a little tippity tap. And then what's happening every time that chick would cry, which I already told you, she was loud in the crate, I would say, oh my God, does the wee one have to go to the bathroom because she's crying? And then I would bring her out and she's like, I didn't have to go. I'm just crying in my crate. So what are we doing? We're reinforcing the crying because I did not want to clean up her pee again. Just can't.
Yeah, and I think it was a good example of how you want to look at training on a spectrum. Like, you can't say to yourself, like, this dog is never going to have a bathroom accident inside the house or inside their crate.
I say that in my head.
Yeah, in your head. But, like, okay, look how it played out in reality.
Is it realistic?
Right? Yeah.
No.
Did Ruben ever pee inside of his crate?
Never. Our little prince.
Did he ever poop inside of his crate?
Never. He would be horrified.
Yeah, he would be horrified. So, I mean, with him...
He likes to eat shit, though.
Yeah. He's got other fine
occasionally,
qualities. All the good dogs like to eat shit. That's what I'm telling myself to make myself feel better about that topic. But... for Raven, it was like, okay, this week she only peed in her crate. And we're talking like it was happening every day, and it wasn't. But, if like, okay, it's been 2 times this week. Okay, it was 1 time this week. Okay, it was been 1 time in 2 weeks. And now she's not doing that at all.
We were definitely logging in the days like, all right, we had 2 good days. Okay, we had 3 good days.
Yeah. So, and she never did it in the car, which was great. And again, we're talking like it was happening multiple times a day. That's not the case.
Hey, listen, we got to be honest with folks.
But yeah,
in case they're suffering
she was tough to bathroom train. And then we got her so young. We got her at like 6.5 weeks. Oh God,
PETA, just don't listen.
Yeah,
don't listen. You're knocking on my door. Jesus, help us.
They're sending a drone outside
They
our
put
window.
the dogs in the cages. Oh my God. She's hosing her down.
But my God, it is very difficult to bathroom train and crate train a puppy at that age because they are just used to being in a nice warm litter, and they're not anymore. So anyway, we got her in November. She definitely heavily bonded with us because we got her at such a young age, especially to me. And I had the goal of doing some formal retriever training with her. I just had gotten really into it. I had gotten connected with the Retriever Roadmap community online. If you're a retriever person, I definitely would check out that resource. It has thus far been super. And this is a plug for Retriever Roadmap. So here you go. It's an online training program, and they have a bunch of videos that you can watch. And the community on Facebook is really cool too, because you can post questions, read what other people are going through, and get feedback from people who are really experienced. And it's a very like tight-knit community. A lot of people from like the Midwest, not a lot of people from the East.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
A Cambridge crowd doing this?
I know. We can get into that. But I got connected with a guy named Carlos who listens to the podcast. Hey, Carlos. Hopefully I'll see him this weekend for some training.
Hi, Carlos.
And just have gotten connected with some great people for training. I would recommend that program if you're interested in retrievers. But it is a totally different world. And in person, I've been doing a beginner retriever class with Raven on Tuesday nights out in Stowe with the LRCGB, Labrador Retriever Club of Greater Boston. that is a long-standing organization in this community. So they are like the lab training club in the area. And they have access to a rather large park, and they're able to use the park and run the dogs off leash and shoot guns and throw around dead birds, and nobody gives them a problem. They have a long-standing lease.
That doesn't sound like a good time, folks.
Yeah.
Come on. In a field shooting guns, birds, dogs, ticks. Just thinking
that's
about
what I've been
it.
doing. I've been working with her to work on the skills that we need to hopefully be able to go to like a junior hunt test and be able to perform. Should I go talk
I
more
think
about
you
it?
you have to talk about what a junior hunt test is.
Okay.
And everyone, when you post pictures of Raven with a bird in her mouth, they want to know what that's about. So you're like, oh, it's a hunt test. And everyone listening, all they know is right now you look like Elmer Fudd. They're like, she's got the camo on. We're out in the field with the dog. Okay, go. What do we do? What is it like?
Okay, so I have to full disclosure. I'm new at this. Like everything is new. Obviously, I know how to train behaviors, but getting into an environment where I'm able to see the dogs like do what they're actually bred to do is incredible and interesting to me and really, really cool. So I'll start by saying that. And I'll also say that it makes a lot more sense if you can see it in person, but like I'll do my best to describe. So I made a post in our Facebook group for our clients only, and it was talking a little bit more about the difference between like a dog that will actually hunt prey and a dog that will retrieve something and follow the directions of the handler. And the second is what retriever training is all about. So oftentimes I hear, oh, that dog's going to hunt ducks. And that's not what Labrador Retrievers do. They retrieve the duck. So if we think about a scenario where somebody would be hunting like for real, where do ducks hang out? Usually they hang out around here, at least in water. A lot of times they hang out in like the ocean or like an inlet or something like that, or a pond. Down south and out west, they might hang out in like a flooded field or a river, for example. And so the hunter goes and hangs out by those areas. And as the birds take flight, they shoot the birds.
Pew, pew.
And the birds fall down. And the retriever, ideally, is near the hunter. And they know that the gunfire means that there's going to be something to go pick up. So the dog will keep an eye to the sky and see the duck fall down from the sky, kind of make a memory of where that duck landed. And when the handler or the hunter says, go, the dog goes and retrieves the downed bird and brings it back to the handler. So if we think about a hunt test, it's emulating that type of scenario. And so in order to do the training to get the dog to the point where they will be able to understand that, hey, something is going to happen that means that there's going to be that bird falling from the sky, and then it's my job to go pick that thing up and bring it back here. That whole process needs to be broken down into individual steps. And that's what retriever training, I guess, in a sense is. And then as the tests get harder, more challenges are put in front of the dog because, in an ideal situation, right? Like the bird will be flying, the hunter shoots, it's 100 yards away. The dog sees it really clearly. There's just an open grassy field in between where the dog is and where the bird is. The bird is completely dead once the dog gets there. The dog picks it up, has a clear line of sight back to the handler, but that's not real life, right? So there's things like water, there's things like trees that get in the way of the dog seeing where the duck landed. There's things like, if you think of like a cornfield that's kind of been mowed down, it's this like stubbly corn stalks. There might be, brush piles and things of that nature just out in a field, right? So in order to kind of emulate the fact that the dog needs to have a little bit of courage when they do this task, you want to kind of train in different situations with different, elevations in the ground, with water, with a stream, with tall grass, with short grass, with a situation where the dog, needs to run in a straight line and can't kind of cheat and take the easy road out. So it's, again, like the hunt test piece of it is all to emulate that scenario where the dog sees something fall from the sky they know they're supposed to pick up. They run and go get it and bring it back to the handler. In the test situation, the things that make it difficult are the dog needs to be kind of steady next to the handler as they're waiting to do their job. The dog needs to wait when they see the mark go down and released when the handler releases them to go pick up the mark. The dog needs to grab onto the bird and not crush it and not play with it and do all the things that would destroy it, right? Pluck it. Okay. It just needs to hold on to it. Ugh. Then the dog needs to return to the handler and hold on to the bird until the handler gives them permission to release the bird out of their mouth. And that whole scenario is really hard. And, only a certain breed of dog is going to be able to execute all of that job criteria. And
that's a lot of independent moves from the dog too. I mean, once you release them and you say, go get the duck, they are out there on their own away from you. I mean, if they want to go, they're going. So I do find it amazing that they go out there, they do the job, and they come back. And then the dogs that don't like chew it up or mouth it too much or fling it around, I am impressed by it. I think it's tough, holding the bird. I was helping Leah, and it's gross.
Yeah. So,
so
it is gross. If you're not used to it. And I will say that it is like 10 times more gross if you've never worked with the dog and seen a dog in action with the bird. Like if you see the action and if you're mildly interested in the training, like you forget that it's a bird even, but when you have it wrapped up in newspaper hanging out in your refrigerator.
In the fridge.
With a head,
It's very tucked away, people. It's very wrapped up. Those are the things I asked. Just lock that puppy, lock that bird right up.
Yeah, and there's the other thing, right? So talking about criteria, it's like, okay, steadiness, we got that. Drive to go get the bird, definitely got that with the Raven.
Yep.
Her tenacity, she is determined when she gets out there to find it. So we've just been working with bumpers. So bumpers are kind of long rubber tubes that float in the water, and they look like a big dowel, and they are knobby, and they can be either orange, white and black, or white. And the idea is that white is the easiest for the dog to see against a backdrop of grass or water. Black and white is a little harder for the dog to see, and orange is very difficult for the dog to see. So it's the whole idea where you're challenging the dog to be able to pick up something that might be a little harder to see. They might have to scent a little more. They need to use more of their resources to find that thing. And once the dog is confident with bumpers, you start working with actual birds. They're actual birds that are killed for the purposes of, either a hunter killed one or, they're farmed and they're killed so that people can use them for such practices as we are doing. And they're literal like mallard ducks. We use them for training. So in order to get Raven interested in picking up the bird, because Raven's MO in life in general is like to be a little unsure of herself when she is doing something new. It was very difficult for me to get her into the water. It took a lot of patience, and she always has to do it on her terms, and she needs that time to just be a little bit uncomfortable before she goes in and realizes that it's a good time. And once she figured that out with the water, it was really cool to see. And there was a woman in class, and she was having trouble getting her dog to pick the bird up, and she was like, well, what if your dog doesn't pick the bird up? And I was like, well, she will. And she was like, well, you don't know if she will. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to think like that, because if I think like she's not going to pick it up, I'm like, she might not pick it up. And that's okay if that's who she is and she never gets it. But like, I want to believe that she can. So Tuesday night in class, the instructor helped me, pull me aside, and we worked with the bird that was a little smaller, and she was showing some interest, but a little a little hesitant still. And then at the end of our little session, the instructor, Nancy, said, we're going to stop the session. You know why? And I said, because she actually really wants it. And Nancy said, yeah, exactly. Because she really wanted to get it, but she just wasn't quite there, but she had the drive to get it. We could tell her brain was working. So the next day, which was yesterday, we pulled both birds out in our yard, and Laurie helped me. If you want to describe how you helped me, that might give you something to say here.
Oh. Well, no, I'm actually, it's nice to listen to it because I've taken part in helping a little bit, but some of the other facts were nice. So we had the bird, and Leah's right. Every time, even when she's a puppy, she's always like, I'm not so sure. Let's go! Like, once she gets used to it, she is hesitant. Hackles go up. Then they go down. And then she's like, gun-ho, ready to go. I just needed a minute. I had to pull it together. And I'm like, well, me too, kid. That's how I approach every situation, too. And yesterday, we have the bird. And I think I blacked out so that I could properly help Leah. So I saw that she was, I don't know jack about this, by the way. And I was like, oh, I tied the bird up with a string, right? Because that's how I got Buddha to like the dumbbell. So here we go. So I put it
around the legs.
Yeah, I was going to put it on the neck, but that was a little loose. So I put it on the leg, and I started dragging that bird around.
Yeah, so can you just talk a little bit about why a dog wouldn't want to pick it up?
Well, if I was a dog, I wouldn't pick it up. Why wouldn't the dog want to pick it up?
Yeah.
Well, it's heavy. Awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It's just heavy and awkward, and there's feathers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I thought what was weirding her out was the wing, because she kept getting it by the wing. God, I'm so sorry for whoever is listening and they're horrified by this. So she would take the wing, and then it would leave all this weight behind it. So she wasn't getting a good pickup on it. She wasn't grabbing the whole thing. And then I try to you can't present it like it's a bite toy. So I was dragging it. I'm like, you know what? I said, Leah, go get me a rubber band and let's put it around the duck so the wings aren't flapping around. Still horrified about what I'm doing. And we drag it around, and I start raising it through the air a little bit as it's going, and she grabbed it. And that was that. She grabbed it once. And then every bite, I mean, she really has a soft mouth. I can't recall a puppy that had such a soft mouth at a young age. I never remember her putting a tooth in me. She really had a soft mouth from the very beginning. And if you just take a toy, this chick wants to carry something in her mouth constantly. If we just give her a stuffed animal and she walks around the house flirting with everybody, trying to get them to eat it. Anyway, so back to the bird. Here she is, and she's grabbing it, and I'm so proud of her. And then I feel like I was helping because, I want to support Leah in this. And I was like, wow, if you ever doubted my love, here I am for you, honey. And then prior to this, we had gone out to a field. We were doing protection work with Buddha, and Leah took some time to go play Frisbee, practice with Ruben in another field, and then here I am in the middle of a field.
Well, we went back with Raven.
Right.
Because we had done class. So this was on like a Sunday. I had done class the previous Tuesday, and she had freaked out with the gunfire. Oh, so that's a whole other issue with the lab training, is the dog needs to be okay with like loud ass gunfire, like close by them. So there was a pistol that was being used at the line, and Raven was in the blind, and the pistol had gone off, and she was not happy about it. And so the instructor gave me the pistol to
not the way you want to introduce gunshots to a dog.
It wasn't a good situation. And I think to kind of defend I think for the training, it was like an item to be checked off of their list. But Raven is the youngest dog in this class, and she just turned 8 months like last week, and I think the next in line for her is like 16 or 18 months. So the dogs are like a good year older than her. So she's young, and she really has not been exposed to like any of this stuff. So after that class, the instructor gave me the blank gun. And so I brought it with me to another training, and Laurie can pick up the story because she helped me with the desensitization there.
Yeah. So we were, and I will say too, when you're in a training class and sometimes something happens, it happens before you even know it, or before you're able to stand back and say, is this something I want to do? I mean, I've had that situation with Buddha sometimes that I can recall, and I just think, oh my God, why did I do that? It's just you're stuck in the moment and you're like working on something, and then you think that was probably a bad move. So now, okay, now we gotta backtrack. We know how Raven is. We just described her, a little hesitant. Now she has no idea a gun's gonna go off. Okay, so now we're out in the field, Leah and I am standing on one end of the field and Leah's on the other. And what makes this slightly funnier now, but it wasn't really funny, something happened to my hip where I had an episode where I was crippled for 2 days straight. So my crippled ass is out in the field because I'm like, I love Leah, I'm going to help her. So we're out in the field, and I was like, okay, Leah, just tell me what to do. I got this. So I have this duck whistle in my mouth. I have a gun.
It's a duck call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm sorry. I have a duck call in my mouth. I just want to die. And then I have the bumper and a gun. So I'm like, yes, bitches, let's go. Next time I'm going to wear like a cowboy hat. And I was like, okay. And you have to get the dog's attention. Hey, hey. And then like quack, quack. And then pew, pew. And then I throw the bumper through the air. I was like, did I do it, honey? Yeehaw.
And she was totally fine.
She didn't give 2 shiitakes.
Nope, she did so well. And now, thank you for doing that, first of all. This past Tuesday, there was a 12-gauge shotgun in the blind far away from her. It was far away from her, so it wasn't, close. But she got visibly pumped when she heard the gun.
That's what we like. Dogs that hear a gunshot and they're just thrilled.
Yeah. So
imagine.
Yeah. It's crazy how her little mind works, and how she can be a little unsure and then flip the script as soon as she realizes that little thing that she was unsure about is actually going to lead to a whole barrel of fun. And if I told you that this dog was fast...
She's fast.
She is so fast. And she doesn't ever give up.
Nope.
She would be a dog that would have heat stroke. 100% if I didn't stop the play or the whatever we were doing, because she's just insane.
She doesn't know when to stop at all. You should see her. She comes home and just after, when Leah takes her to that, or I love when Leah goes, when it's toss and fetch day or it's hunting day. I'm like, because I know that
and I take her
or she goes to the farm,
me.
or she goes to work, and she'll go on 3 field runs, and she's like, let's go. But then she finally, when you put her in her crate, to see that dog pass out, it's a rare sight, and she will sleep in, but she requires excessive amounts of exercise. I really can't imagine any of this guy's dogs going to a normal home. We're walking him in the road and everything's fine till he sees a bird.
But see, that's what I mean. So, okay, that illustrates another point that I wanted to bring up. So when we were talking about hunting versus retrieving, there's a video that I posted again in the Facebook group where I was doing watermarks with a friend, and this was 2 days after Raven went in the water. I'm like, yes, she's swimming. She likes it. So I was throwing her some marks, and literally, as Raven is swimming towards the mark, a duck starts to go in her direction. And Raven doesn't even, at one point, almost looked like Raven could see the duck, straight on. And she just kept swimming past the duck, got the mark, and come back, right? So we're not looking for a dog when we're looking for a retriever that's going to go get every random Tom, Dick, and Harry duck that is out there, right? Because that's called prey drive. That's called I see something that I could chase and catch and maybe consume or play with or whatever.
Can you imagine the passerbys?
And that's that's just such a difference between a true retriever, right? Again, a retriever like gets their job. They understand, like, I saw that thing fall from the sky and that thing is the thing that I'm supposed to go get and bring back over here. Now, does every good retriever like do that all the time? Like, no, of course not. They're dogs and they're going to have different drives, and like part of being a good retriever is retrieving a crippled bird. So a bird that like isn't all the way dead and is like fighting them on the way back to the handler, right? So there has to be like a good drive in the dog in order to want to have tenacity and courage and do something like that. But, you know, we're not looking for a dog that's going to chase and kill squirrels and rabbits and woodchucks and all that other type of stuff, right?
No.
So again, like just kind of knowing the difference with the different types of drives. And it is just so freaking cool to be at club and see all these retrievers like retrieve, you know, and run like 400 yards in a shot and be like ready for the next one. Like, in what other scenario would a dog like the Chesapeake Bay Retriever that we know,
yeah, I never get
you know,
a chance
be
to
able
do
to
that
do
and
that,
have all that fun.
and yeah, have all that and search for the mark and retreat and all that. So it's just a really cool experience, and I'll do it for as long as Raven's enjoying it and as long as I'm enjoying it. I have a bunch of training set up for this weekend, so hopefully it happens. And yeah, I'm excited to just kind of see how it goes. Keep working on like making sure at this point. Oh, so that's a good point too. Like at this point, right? So she's like 8 months old. There's certain things that we have to do. Whether I decide to introduce the e-collar or not, and then figuring out, you know, how to teach the retrieve, right? So how to teach that hold. So the last part of their job when they're working, even if we're just doing like a hunt test type of thing, is they have to hold on to the bird or the mark and bring it all the way back to the handler and sit there with it in its mouth. And that's a command, right? The dog needs to understand what the criteria is of the command, and to hold something in their mouth means to hold it until they're told to release it. And that is a challenge that, you know, a lot of owners struggle with, and I'm sure I'll struggle with too. But I have all of the people in my corner to help me be successful with that job. So, and Raven, again, has like a really, really natural mouth. So I think this winter I will probably be focusing some time solely to working on that task. And yeah, and then my goal is to attend a couple of hunt tests. That was on my list of things that I wanted to do for the 2023. And I'm happy to say that I'm plowing through that list. And it's been a really, really fun spring, and I'm excited about the beginning of summer. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Newbie retriever trainer here. If anybody wants to commiserate or ask questions about that, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, do you have anything else to say about the topic? We're going to keep everybody posted on how things are going and how she's doing.
No, nothing else.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you for tuning in for Pet Boston Talks, episode number 70. Stay tuned for the next one.
Number 70.
Number 71, coming at you soon.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun.
Quack, quack.